Hey, Coach, I'm so excited that you found us on YouTube. Let me know how we can help. The video is just a small snippet of all the things we have over at Teach Hoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's everything. It is the resource for basketball coaches, one-on-one calls, office hours with me. I've coached at every level. I've coached NBA guys. Let me help you become a better basketball coach. Doesn't matter which level you're at. I am here to help. I'm here to serve. So go over and check it out. All right, let's head off to the video.
Can you hear me? Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Oh, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Awesome.
It's always like the mouths are always moving, but then nothing's like coming out. How are you?
I'm good. By the way, you do such a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I mean, this is a great site. I've listened to your podcast now for probably about 6 to 9 months, and I like what you did with Coach Steger and the high school stuff. Starting that, it's great. Good stuff.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm always like, I'm never sure if anyone's listening, to be honest with you.
No, you have one person listening.
Okay, I have one. I just got off the conversation with somebody in Hawaii, so that was kind of cool. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a lot better. It's like 47 and cold in Wisconsin today. So
well, it was raining. I just got off a Little League field with my son. It was like 51 degrees. It's like it's crazy.
I know. I remember the Little League days. I love the Little League days. Those are fun days.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Yeah. 17-year-olds like, oh, it's like getting ready for AP tests and stuff. It's like, oh my God, the Little League seems so far away. But all right, go ahead, shoot away, Coach. What do you got? Questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest question for you is my philosophy kind of is you're going to win 5, like unless you stink or unless you're great, you're
right.
going to win 5 games and you're going to lose 5 games.
Okay.
Regular season schedule, right? Like I just again, unless you're just unbelievable and
right.
we're not talented enough on a year in year out basis to be unbelievable. But
okay,
I think it's the middle 10 games, right? It's the 10 games, the middle 10 games that can go either way. Right?
Yep, I agree.
And especially at the high school level, where I believe we're so influential at the end of the day, and like wins and losses. Maybe I'm a little bit narcissistic.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're influential in their lives a lot too, to be honest with you. But yes, I think in the wins and losses, I think we have. I mean, I think Coach K, those guys, it's like they're just moving little pieces, and they're just the game's just kind of going. Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about like those 10 games, right? Like, what's the difference between going 8-2 and 2-8?
You got to be in shape. You got to have practice the situations, because the difference between that 2-8 and the 8-2, in my opinion, is there's going to be some close ones or a handful of possessions that are going to matter. So as I've gotten older, I've spent more and more time on situational stuff. Down 3 with 2 minutes to go, what are we going to do? Because you literally have to teach them everything. You have to teach them how to foul. You have to teach them when to foul. Well, we've only committed 2 fouls, and we got to get it into the bonus so that we can get them shooting free throws. We're up 3 with 4 minutes. So all those situational things.
I lose you?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
yeah, it's okay. So that's the kicker, I think, is the those little situational stuff. Obviously, there's big picture stuff, but I don't think that's the difference between 2-8 and 8-2. I think if you're close and you're there. So I think being in shape, I think situational stuff. And the more and more I've been reading, the more and more I'm convinced that you have to do more shooting and practice. Okay. It's a skill they work on. There's a skill now that they don't work on as much as they used to. And then it's a skill they work on in the off season, but then it's something that gets lost during the season. And I'm guilty of that too.
I love the shape comment. I think that it's hard because you don't know. I find myself struggling to know how much I really can push them to get into shape.
Yeah, and the thing is, and the problem is we all want to push them early and then we forget about it. And what I've done is, well, to get into our locker room, they have to reach a threshold. So I don't even give them practice jerseys or our locker room until they reach this threshold, like a ladder dribble or running thing we do. So I've made that actually a little bit easier over time in the sense that I don't want them to get shin splints. I don't want them to get all that stuff early. But I make it hard enough that it's a big deal to get in the locker room. And then,
what do you mean by that? You don't get, I'm not sure I understand. You don't bring them, they don't get into the locker room until they've earned it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They have to change in the gym. They have to find their own, that they haven't earned the right to get in the locker room.
I like it.
Yeah. So I do tryouts, a couple of days of tryouts, and then I pick the team. So in tryouts, they can go in the Phi Ed locker room and all that kind of stuff. They just can't go in our locker room or our varsity locker room.
Right.
So there's places for them to change. I'm not making them change in the hallway, but they don't get their practice gear. So
I like it.
it's like this is our first test. Our first test is how long is it going to take us to get to the point where you can put on, the green and white and, So that's more teenage boys. You kind of got to play with that a little bit. But so what I've done is the problem is it's not necessarily, I can get them in shape. They lose it quickly because they all get sick or they get a cold or something.
Right.
And especially if you got youngsters, the youngsters aren't used to it. Like the freshmen, sophomores, if they're not good enough to be on your team, just aren't used to the grind of every day for 90 practices or whatever high school season is. So I find in January, I got to redo it again. I got to re-get them in shape. But I also want them to have legs come February. So, I kind of go up and then I level around Christmas. Then I got to go up again to get them in shape. And then I kind of level again going into the kind of the tournament push.
I listened to one of your podcasts where you were talking about you actually give them winter break off.
I do. I give them.
The problem is we start like our first day is November 30th.
Ours is the 18th. And
Okay.
we get done the end of March. So this year we're going to Florida So most years we go on a trip somewhere because I use it as kind of a retreat. And we've gotten good enough that people invite us to go. So last year we didn't because of some rule issues with they changed how many teams we could play. Anyway, it was just a silly one of those like dot an I cross a T things. It's like you can play in a tournament of 8, but you can't play in a tournament of 16. It's like, okay. I mean, that seems like a silly rule to me, but so we didn't do anything last year. And last year I gave him like 10 days off. Not even 10, maybe a little less, maybe a week off. I like to give them at least a stretch of 4 or 5 days where they don't see me.
Right.
It's a break. Now with November, it's harder because that comes really fast if you're starting on the 30th. But I think that mental getaway stretch is really important. And I try to definitely do it around finals week too, if I can. I just know how mentally draining that is for a lot of the kids.
Right.
But I think coaches, nothing you do 2 days over Christmas break practices are horrible. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving is horrible. Those are all just bad. They're not great practices. You don't have, they're not, like I said in that podcast, probably they're not sleeping like they normally are. They're staying up late, they're out of the routine. It's just, you're not going to get a lot out of it. So during those, when we do them, I try to get a lot of shots up. I try to work on a lot of skill work, individual stuff that maybe gets lost in the shuffle during the season. But yeah, I'm sure I'm not the norm.
No, it's a unique approach to it because I do think, I think the fear is just losing sharpness.
Right. And I don't care if we're sharp in January.
Right.
I want to be sharp in late February, March, and if I give them a break, they might have some legs.
Right. But you're not ever worried about winning 12, 15 games a year. I mean, we have to win 40% of our games to make the state tournament each year, and every game is precious. We're in a,
right. So that's different. Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. So we put in the pack this year.
Okay.
I think it's worked really, really, really well.
Yeah, it's a great defense.
You just need to make sure that. So there's a couple of questions I have on it. The first is it's challenging to teach the kids to learn the difference between the weak side and the strong side. Now I know it's simple in regards to okay, the ball's on one side of the court, right? Because
Right.
sometimes the ball crosses over.
Yep.
So I'm trying to, the biggest struggle that we've had, we did a great job not helping off the strong side. Great job this year. Forcing tough, like 8-foot jumpers and, going to the outside, making sure that we do a really good job with challenge twos. The challenge that we have is we're not great on the ball, right? And then we don't load up well enough because we're like chasing the weak side.
Yeah, you're reacting rather than yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're chasing. So we've talked. So, we're really trying to put a big time emphasis on like establishing the strong side and the weak side.
Yep.
And then really understanding where the weak side, because we help from the weak side. I mean, if we get beat to the outside, it's you're sitting next to me.
Right. Right. It's a great teacher. The bench is a great teacher. Yes.
Yeah. But we're struggling with really getting the kids to understand how to load up on the.
And how do you teach it right now? Do you do it in small groups?
How do we teach it? We don't. I mean, we do a little bit of like 3-on-3 closeout. We do closeouts to
right.
We do 3-on-3 closeouts, and then we do 4-on-4 shell, and then and it looks great in close. It looks great in closeouts and in shell. Even
it always
when
does.
And then you go to 5s, and all of a sudden a kid hits 1 or 2 threes, and all of a sudden you're face guarding from.
Right. And is it they're reacting too slow? Is it they don't know what they're doing? Is it that they're in the wrong spot?
I think, first of all, I think it's fear of letting their man beat them.
Okay.
Like just the psychology of like, I'm not going to let my guy, I'm not going to be the cause of the loss.
Right.
I also.
So here's what I've done on defense too, is I've made them call out what they're doing. But
they shut up. They talk for like. I mean, that's another question. But like they talk for like the first 15 seconds of the possession or the 8 seconds of the possession, and then
they stop, and then they stop, and then we stop the drill, and then we do it again.
And then we stop the drill, and we do it again, and then we stop after 8 seconds. I mean, yeah.
And do they know they're doing that, or they do not know they're doing that?
Yeah, like I'll run when I know that they're not talking, I'll run like a 4-corner passing drill.
Right.
I'll stop the drill and I'll just run like a 4-corner passing drill. They have to call each other's name out just so I want to hear a loud chant.
Do you tape practice?
No. We don't.
Okay.
I don't. We don't. And I'm an assistant.
You don't need an assistant to tape practice. So this is something I've done. Actually, we've gotten to the point now where we have a camera in the gym. It's awesome. We just got it last year. So it'll actually tape us. We just got it at the end of the season. It was awesome because I'd come home and just for 30 minutes, I'd go through practice like, oh, that was good. That was bad. So
from far away, right? Like
ours is mounted up on the wall and it basically follows the ball. So from one end, it stays down there. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't even know what it is. It's not the Huddle one. Huddle has one, but it's a different one that our AD got us. But it's great. Right. But anyway, you don't need that. Because before I had that, I would just set up a camera and I would point it. I usually work one side of the court or the other.
Right.
You're working on D. You're working on half court D, and then you just set it up and you just hit record and you leave it. Because I never do anything in practice that I don't want. I'm not the Rutgers coach. Nothing that I'm going to do in practice is. I don't care if anybody ever sees it. I'm just teaching the boys. But what the reason I do it is because then I will go if they're bad at it. And usually I'm taping when I need to show them something, and then I will the next day we'll come in and say, hey, we got 10 minutes, and I'll find the spot and I'll go watch. And I'll make them watch it. I go, what are we doing? Then I throw it back onto them. What aren't we doing?
Like, how do you 2 hours or like an hour and 45? Like, I feel like you turn around and you're an hour and 15 minutes into practice.
So okay. So you're trying. Yeah, absolutely. That means you're having fun too. It's good. But you got to leave it. My theory is if it's going bad, I leave it and I go on to something else. Like if we were doing a drill like that and I'm on them and they're not talking, and I say stop. Okay, next. And then we move on. It's got to, I mean, they're teenage boys. You can pound them for 20 minutes, but it ain't going to work. Let's go on and do something else. Let's work on out of bounds plays.
Right.
And then I'm going to find something that's clicking and we'll work on that and get better. Because otherwise, I'm not going to teach them the wrong. I'm a stats teacher. I'm not going to teach them the wrong way to do a confidence interval. If they keep doing it wrong, there's a point where I'm going to stop and we're going to come back. I'm going to think about it the next 24 hours about how I can approach it, because I'm obviously not doing something, because they're trying. It's not like they're not trying. And then we're going to tackle it a different way. So that's where if you're looking up and if you're looking up and you go, oh crud, then something's got to it's got to be more like this in practice.
You got to stay. It's like you can't change your golf swing in the middle of the round.
Yep. And do you run your clock during practice?
We do. Yeah, we do. We don't do it as we do, but we don't do it as religiously as.
And that, I'm telling you that when I started doing that, when we started getting the wireless thing, it's the best thing ever, because literally I'm a perfectionist too, and we're working on down screens, or we're working on how we're going to hedge off the screen.
Right.
I'll look up and I'll put 5 minutes up. I go, we have 5 minutes for this, and I'll look up and it will be like 30 seconds left, and it's like, oh crud. But I tell myself if that goes off, I'm done, because otherwise I'll spend 20 minutes on hedging on a ball screen. Well, how's that helping us?
I don't know if I made this clear. I'm actually the defensive coordinator for the team, so I'm an assistant.
Okay.
So there's certain things that I can do, and there's certain.
And the clock you could help with.
No, I should. It's something that we have to do a much better job with.
Yeah, because it will keep everybody more focused. Yeah.
Well, I just want, again, I'm sure you probably got to go. It's 5 minutes or so.
It's okay. I got a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah. So just to give you a background on me, so I work for as a student manager under Steve Fisher.
Oh God. Okay.
During the Fab 5 years, which was a lot.
What years?
During the Fab 5. So I was a freshman the year that the Fab 5 were freshmen.
So were you in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I was in Minneapolis.
That was my first Final Four.
Was it?
I love that.
Yeah, I went. We beat Cincinnati in the first round, and then
the Metrodome.
And the thing about that game, about the finals of that game, was the best live sporting event I've ever been to, and I was ever in my life, was the game that Duke came that year to Ann Arbor, and whoever missed like a 3 at the buzzer after the freshman, and then so we had such high hopes for that final games against Duke, and then they just tooled us in the second half. But it was I went there and then went to New Orleans the next year.
Okay.
But so that was my background. So I'm a Big Ten guy too.
Okay.
This was pretty cool. So
yeah, it was very cool.
Other than that, like a complementary defense to pack, the two things that were like a change of pace. We're thinking about one of two things. We're either thinking, have you heard of point zone?
I have.
And the 1-1-3 matchup. So it's like there's two ideas that we have just to like give a little bit of a different look, maybe to help out a little bit if the dribble penetration is
or foul trouble or something like that.
Trouble.
I like the 1-1-3. I do. The only issue with it is a little bit extending the 3-point shooters. That's why I tend to run like a 3-2 matchup.
You run a 3-2 matchup.
Yeah. Just because it's a way of the 3-point line has changed so much, and high school kids, if they're wide open, can hit it, at least where we play.
You don't get killed on the corners on the 3-2?
We do, but we don't do it that much, and it's a matchup, so someone's gonna have it. If I'm really trying to slow people, I'll go to a 1-3-1 if I'm long enough. Like last couple of years, I haven't been long enough. You got to have pretty athletic top and a couple wings that are long. Your bottom guy can be tiny, but the wings got to be long. And I like that as kind of more of a change up. I'll also, like, I was just the coach from Hawaii. I was talking about we'll run a triangle and 2 against you too for 10 possessions.
I love combos. I love them.
Right. And I was telling him, have you seen the inverted? I run an inverted
one. Right. I love literally like chasing with 4 and 1 in the middle.
That's my 4 is basically if you got an aircraft carrier, you put them down and you protect the rim, and then you chase. They don't know what to do when you're chasing.
What's his name did it against Duke? The taco.
Oh yeah. He was basically. I mean, if you got him, shoot, I'd protect the rim too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you like the 1-1-3, the 1-1-3, but basically the 1-1-3 turns into a 2-3 matchup.
Well, every zone, this is important. Every zone below the free throw line turns into a 2-3 eventually, because you got to cover the corners, you got to cover the little block. So again, I mean, I especially against pack, I would try to have one or two things in your pocket, just as a little change up to kind of keep people off kilter.
We're not long enough to play the 1-3. We
Yeah.
can play 1-3. We do a little bit of a like a fake 2-2-1 back
Yeah.
into 3 sometimes, like something to like change pace a little bit.
Right.
But like I have a really, really hard time not playing man.
Oh, trust me, I'd play man all the time. But the problem is we don't have the kids long enough to get really good at it.
I know.
Like if you're Coach Bennett, man, you got him. Like we recruit guys that can run that.
Totally.
You know, we're getting guys showing up like 2 days for practice. Like, you know,
it's hard to teach man.
It's yes. And if you can teach man, then that's what I'm saying. You could have a couple different tweaks to the zone, because if they can run man and they know rotation and help, then they can run a zone.
Yeah, that's the problem. We just didn't help off of it great. We did a decent job. We're, you know, I'm an intense coach. I get a lot out of these guys on the defense end. We just really struggled. Like we way too many layups for pack. Just way too many like.
Yeah, you can't give up layups in pack. If you're giving up layups in pack, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Our 5 isn't like, he just wasn't. Just needs to get tougher.
It's got to be protecting the paint. It's got to be putting up the wall. It's got to be like this has got to be personal. Like that's got to be your. It's like Game of Thrones. This is our wall, man. Like that's what you got to feed on them. It's like you have to take this personal. If they score a layup, that's like getting dunked on and YouTubed. Like seriously, that's what you got to sell it to them.
But it's like athletic layups. It's not like someone's getting beaten to the rim and getting a layup. It's like someone gets beat to the rim, and then our big is there, but he's not athletic enough to disrupt, and then
right. And you got to disrupt. Like that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to make it difficult enough around the basket that they can't get easy looks.
Okay. Well, this has been great. I appreciate it.
Okay. Anytime. Yeah. I do these about every 2 weeks. And when I get free time,
I can jump on a bunch of them. You don't mind? I mean,
absolutely. Anytime I put it up, watch, boom, jump on it. Basically it's when
yeah, go ahead.
It's when I have basic free time. I'd like, oh shoot, I'm free tonight from you know, my ADHD is not taking over, so I'm free. So I'll put it up. So anytime, yeah, for sure. Just jump in.
Appreciate the advice about the 10 in the middle, which I think is very important. I think we're influential, and keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Coach. Hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know how we can help. TeachHoops.com, if you click up above and down below, is the one-stop shopping for basketball coaches. It's not only community, it's not only resources, it's not only mentoring from me, it's a little bit of everything. I've been there. I've won lots of championships and lots of rings. I can help you become a better basketball coach. Let me know how I can do that. Enjoy the day.